Hello and welcome along to what is quite a sunny day here in the UK for a change, which is quite nice, which means it's time to start getting out and doing a few bits and pieces. Now, a couple of updates and a few other things about the cars, so we'll get straight into it. Well, the good news is the car that's missing, which is our black Vauxhall Corsa, that one passed its MOT. I'm pleased to say only a minor fail, and that was bulbs. Again, you've probably seen in previous videos I've been changing bulbs constantly. I forgot to change the front side marker bulbs, so it got a fail on that one, but Steve down at the garage did change the bulbs for me, got a pass. That's great news on the Corsa, and I think, fingers crossed, all the coolant problems are sorted now. We're on to our second replacement coolant pump, and that should be all good. Now, annoyingly, about this time of year, we've got all the MOTs due. So the one that went in the other day was our Volvo XC60. That one went in, and I wasn't expecting anything on that one. That one needed a couple of front tyres, which I knew they were starting to get a bit low, to be honest, and that was confirmed. A couple of new tyres, and that was all good and sorted. So that was a fairly straightforward, although a little bit expensive, around about £100 a tyre on the XC60. That's not too bad, that's all sorted. I think it was then the next day I then went ahead and got our Nissan Juke in for MOT, and that one straight through. It had one number plate bulb that needed replacing, but that's all. So the Juke went through, sailed its first MOT that we've had with it, because we bought that last year, so this is the first MOT we've had done in it, and that's gone through. So that one passed on Friday. The next one that we've got that I want to get through an MOT shortly will be this one, the Volvo. The problem with that being, I do need to get the front windscreen replaced on that one before we can even take that off for MOT. Other than that, everything else on there is fine. You saw we did the brake bleed video. I'll put a link in the description at the bottom on that one. That one got sorted. It's just the front windscreen, which I need to ring up and order a replacement windscreen to get fitted and installed on that. Hopefully be able to get that in the next month or so, and then we can get that MOT. The final one that you can't see here is the BMW Z3, which is currently stored up at my parents', and that one, it needs a couple of tyres, brakes, a few things like that. So at the minute we're just leaving that one. It's been sawn, taken off the road. That's just waiting until we get a bit of time to go up there, get that ready, and then we'll be getting that one track ready as well. So the job that's actually a couple of months overdue is on our Volvo XC60, and that is to service it, because the last service that I had done over a year ago now was actually by the Volvo dealership. They did a first one because I wanted to get it fully done when I first picked the car up, and now it's due, so it's time for us to have a go at servicing. So I'm going to swap the cars around, get this one, have a look, because we need to get the undertray off. I think probably up on the ramps are going to be the best bet for that one, and we'll figure out how to service this one. Let's take a look. We're going to have to take this off, and then I can't remember which side the oil filter is on this one. Now, I do actually have an aux belt to replace as well, but might not fit that one in today. Might leave that one for a separate job. But very, very clean engine bay, hopefully. Going to take the under tray off and see what we've got under there as well. Hopefully that's going to look all nice and clean and dry as well. Now we've got the cover off. Great little spot for the oil filter. It's a nice place there. Did notice we do have a little bit of oil. I think think this is the return from the EGR actually that's coming back over. A little bit of oil there, not sure where exactly that's coming from, but nothing too serious. Does look a little caked around that pipe there. Otherwise, looking at the rest of it, not too bad. Bit of rust on a few of the components. I have noticed there are a few bits of rust actually on the chassis itself. Nothing to write home about, because I know that the metal that Volvo uses is very thick, tends to be pretty chunky stuff, so I'm not overly concerned. But at least our filter's there. Next thing is to get underneath, get the under tray off, and then we can have a look at getting the sump plug out. Taking a look underneath, not too bad at all. We can see they're actually quite chunky TORX that hold the under tray in place. Now I can see a gap there which might actually be for the sump plug, but I'm thinking I'm going to take the under tray off anyway because I want to take a look myself. It's a T27. Yeah, T27 to take those off. So let me take those off, take the under tray off, and let's have a little look underneath. So far it's all fairly clean. I can't see any boots leaking or anything like that, which I mean I'd expect because it has just gone through an MOT without problem. You can see it is a little bit rusty, crusty in places, but again it all looks surface to me, nothing to worry about too much. Yeah, taking a look underneath, and not too bad actually. I'm not seeing any major leaks. Transmission looks pretty good. All just a little bit of surface rust, but no leaks or anything like that, which is great to see. There's our sump plug there, and all the linkages and everything under here looks pretty solid, so I'm quite pleased with that. Looking over at this side, when I'm going to do the auxiliary belt, you can see that in there. I'm not quite sure where the tensioner is. I think that's probably from the top. But yeah, let's get the oil drained out of it, and we'll see what size that is and get the oil out. Looks like a standard plug though, which is good. And here's the kit we've got. I did get wiper blades as well. Got a Ridex air filter. This is the V-belt kit with the idle tensioner as well. 0W30 as well, specifically for this engine. And I didn't get a replacement sump plug, so I'm going to have to check what the washer's like on that. Also no fuel filter. I think the fuel filter may be a future one as well, probably worth doing, but for the moment I'm just going to do the basic service. Let's get the oil drained and take a look at that. That's the oil draining away. It takes quite a lot of oil, you can see, like a washing up bowl. That's as full as I'd want it to be. It's also quite a calm day today as well, not windy, which is great. When you undo the bolt, just watch, because it does come out with quite a bit of force, because there's quite a lot of oil in there. It does take a fair bit of force when it first comes out, so make sure you've got the bucket in the right place to catch it all. I've also undone the oil cap just to help it flow out, and actually my driveway is naturally downward angled a little bit as well, which does help with this kind of thing. I didn't mention before, obviously I do also have the Ridex oil filter and seals and things like that. There's the bolt and the crush washer. Now I'm not going to be replacing that. Strictly I should do, but I haven't got one of those, so that one's going to go back on. Whilst that's draining out, I think we'll take the air filter and we'll swap that over. Fairly straightforward. A few torques round the sides. Might need to take the battery cover off. I'm not sure if there's any hiding. No, there isn't. That one there, round there, looks the same size actually as the under tray. No, it isn't. So That's going to be a T25, I think. Yep, that's a 25. I'll take that off and let's have a look at what the air filter looks like. That's not too bad in there. Not too many leaves and debris. Having a look at the old filter. Oh look, genuine Volvo from the dealership, as you'd expect. That doesn't look in bad condition at all, actually. But I've got the replacement, so I'm going to replace it anyway. Let's just check that our Ridex matches before we ruin the old one. Yep, like for like. So let's get that in. I didn't look this up in advance. I thought it was going to be a 32 just by eye. Annoyingly, it looks more like 35, and I don't have a 35 socket. Now whether I can use... No, that's not going to work either. That's a bit of a pain. I don't actually have the right size to get the oil filter. I'm going to have to be creative, I think. Let me go and see what I've got and see if there's a way I can get this off without damaging it. Well, annoyingly, the filter has defeated me. I'm not going to damage that. I'm going to have to change that at another point. I'm going to have to order the right size socket for it, but I've put the sump plug back in again, and I've measured out the amount of oil that I took out, just under 5 litres. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put approximately that back in again. We'll run it a little bit and then check. Now remember, this XC60 does not have a physical dipstick. There isn't a way of checking that. It's all electronic. I'll show you how to do that shortly. I have shown it on a previous video, but yeah, I'll show you how to do that, how to do a check on it and see. We aren't on a flat surface, which is a little bit tricky, but do that and then we can always take a look. Using one of my DIY filter funnels does make things a bit easier. Let's get this 0W30 in. Like I say, probably go up to 4.5 and see how we get on. Okay, so to read the electronic dipstick, what we're going to do is take the key, it's one of these types of keys, into the slot. What we're going to do is hold down the trip button, which is this button here, and hold the start stop engine button, but without my foot on the brake, which would tell the engine to start. So I'm going to try this and see if I can get the sequence right. So I'll put that in. Hold down the trip counter, hold down the start and stop. And hopefully we'll get a different message on the screen. There we go. Now I can press OK. And we're getting codes coming back. And I should now, let's just turn that off, be able to get the oil level. There we go. Scrolling through, so I used the little scroll wheel here. Sorry about the binging, that's the door being open. Now that's the current oil level, but that's the last running time. It does store this, so it does take a little bit of a go to get this back right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start it up, let it run a little bit, turn it off and go through this sequence once again. Right, I'm going to start it up, so foot on the brake, start, stop. First of all, just checking we don't have the oil warning light on. The first thing to check is if the oil pressure warning light comes on, then I would say immediately turn it off, double check all of your work. But you can see we don't have an oil pressure warning light, which means that the pressure sensor switch is responding and showing that the oil pressure is okay. That should be starting to circulate as well. Be able to check in just a moment, make sure that that we've got no leaks. or anything like that, but so far so good. I'll let this run for a few minutes and then we'll come back and we'll check the oil level again and we'll compare it. There we go. Okay, so that's everything reset. So again, put the key in the slot, press and hold, and at the same time I'm going to press and hold the start stop. We should get that come up and then we'll get the fault codes. There we go, there's the beep. That's the beep we want. You can see we've got a few fault codes that are busy coming up on screen. I'm just going to press OK. And the oil level is showing dead on the middle there, you can see. So it's still sat on the middle. I think the best option is going to be take it for a little bit of a drive, because we know that there's correct amount of oil in based on how much I took out. So I'm pretty confident that we've got the right amount of oil, and it'll just be maybe a couple of short trips. Then we'll double check the oil and make sure that that is sat in the middle. But there you go, that should cover us. And by the way, I did check for leaks. No leaks at the sump plug or around the filler cap. So I'm going to get the undertray back on as well. Oh, we'll also sort the maintenance overdue. I'll show you how to do that in a moment as well, so we can clear that now that we've done the work. Okay, we're plugged into the OBD port down the bottom in the driver's footwell, and you can see that we're booted up. Try and do this so you can actually see without too many reflections. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the diagnostics. Let me get this set up so you can see what I'm doing, and then we'll have a look. It's about as good as I can get for you. So let's go into the diagnostics on the iCarsoft. Let's go to Volvo. Hopefully you can see that okay. I might need to move you a little bit more. Remember, we've got the ignition on but the engine not started to do the diagnostics here. We're going to go with VIN identify, and I'm going to read the VIN. Yep, which it's got the VIN, so I now need to press OK. And OK again. And now I can do a quick test. OK, ignition is on. And you see it's now going to scan all of the modules. And any faults it's going to make a note and show us here. Okay, so we've got passes on most things. Passenger door module. What's the fault here? Fault code. Rear door passenger side, double locking motor, general electrical failures. Okay, so, and there's two faults actually. Left turn indicator. Okay, I did replace those, so that makes sense. But the rear door, I'll double check. The door does lock and unlock, so I suspect that's just a one-off fault. I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to clear that one. Let's go back. What was the other one? Driver door module. I wonder if it's the same thing. Right turn indicator. Now I did have to replace that one as well, so that makes sense. So we'll OK that. And any other faults? Oh, we have power operated tailgate module. Now we know the problems that I have with this. Let's see what it says. Algorithm failure, signal incorrect. Yep, we know that. Algorithm failure, signal incorrect. Yep. So I'm going to clear those. I doubt it's going to help my boot, unfortunately. Might actually have a look and see if there's anything interesting. And just out of interest, take a look, because I do have a lot of problems and I don't think I've actually checked this. let's just take a look and see what's going on here. Not a lot of information there, to be honest, unfortunately. Never mind. I don't think this is going to help me solve my problems, but there you go. So at least I've now cleared all of the faults. Now if you were doing servicing yourself, you can go into the service menu here. And you can see we can do an oil reset on it. The service reminder indicator, which is what I've done already. You can also reset the steering angle sensor if you've done work on the power steering, and also the parking brake. You can take control of it so that you can do the brake pads, so that it'll do the electronic wind back, but I'm not going to go into that now. And that's all we need to do, so there we go. Hope that's been useful to you. Don't forget to pop a like down the bottom if the video is being used. Subscribe for more car videos and other bits and pieces like that, and I'll see you in the next video.